Welcome to Habeas Treasures, where I try to find one of the hidden treasures from this book, There's Treasure Inside by Jon Collins Black. Hi, my name is Bill, and on today's show I'll be digging into one of my favorite chapters, the Pokemon box. Let's begin. So in the book, Jon Collins Black says that he hid the Pokemon box somewhere along a 2-week vacation journey that he took when he was 5.5 years old. That started in Statesville, North Carolina, then went southwest through New Orleans, over to Houston, and then back up through the Ozarks before returning home. So which place makes the most sense to start looking for the Pokemon box? Well, the author spends the first 2 pages of the chapter writing about what it was like to visit New Orleans as a child. He talks about what it was like to stay in a hotel and visit the French Quarter. Throughout the chapter, New Orleans is the only place on the route that he describes in this level of detail. So in my opinion, he's doing one of 2 things here. He's either dropping a clue that the treasure box is in or around New Orleans, or he's hidden the treasure box somewhere else, and these details are just red herrings. Now, a lot of people will probably balk at the possibility of New Orleans because it's an urban location. And when you walk around a city, you realize it's incredibly hard to hide a treasure in a highly populated area. Despite this, in the interviews that I found that Jon Collins Black did to promote the book, I didn't come across any where he specifically rules out urban environments. So, I take this to mean that the treasure could be hidden in a city. In fact, one of the benefits of hiding a treasure in a city, especially one with as much history and culture as New Orleans, is you have a lot of source material to draw from when you're creating your clues. Just think about it. Every monument, every building, every historical event, they all could be clues. Another thing I like about New Orleans is its connection to James Audubon. Audubon was a famous bird painter from the 1800s. He lived in New Orleans while he worked on his book, Birds of America. The book contains 435 individual prints of birds, and each print is numbered. So in this way, the Birds of America is kind of like the original Pokédex that players used to organize their Pokemon. This book is so famous that an original copy sold for more than $10 million, making it one of the most valuable books of all time. Also, a number of streets and buildings are named after Audubon in New Orleans, including a park, a zoo, an insectarium, the aquarium, and the nature center. I think it's possible that the author uses Audubon as a theme in the Pokemon hunt. And here's why I really like this connection. First, as the similarity I described between Audubon's pictures and the Pokédex. After all, why would he call this treasure the Pokemon box instead of something else? The second reason is I think one of the themes of the overall treasure hunt is literature, including libraries and famous books. I'll cover this in more detail in a future video, but it could be a reason why Jon Collins Black named the book what he did, quote, "There's treasure inside." He could be referring to inside the book, or more broadly, inside of books, and also why he includes a chapter on Andrew Carnegie. Remember, Carnegie is the person who helped create over 2,500 libraries. Also, Jon Collins Black owns his own children's book publishing company that he began at the same time he wrote the treasure book. So it makes sense that with books being such an important focus in his life, that as he designed his clues, he might have also used literary themes. Another connection to Audubon could be the author's reference to his trip route where he writes, quote, "We'd head southwest through New Orleans and then make our trek back past the Ozarks." Look, I think the author's really clever. I believe he uses a lot of wordplay in his writing, meaning that you shouldn't take anything literally. For instance, in the literal sense, the Ozarks means the area of the country where the Ozark Mountains are, like this picture I took in Arkansas. However, we know from the past and future box and some of the other chapters in the book that the author is a fan of pop culture. So it's possible that he's making a reference to the Ozark TV show on Netflix, which was popular during the time he was writing the treasure book. The main character's last name on the show is Bird. Another Audubon reference? Maybe. And why write, quote, "make our trek back past the Ozarks"? Kind of a strange way to word it. He could be making a reference to the bicycle brand Trek. There's a popular biking path that runs along the perimeter of Audubon Park in New Orleans. Another reason I like New Orleans as a hiding spot for the Pokemon box is that the nickname for the city is the Crescent City. This is because the Mississippi River forms the shape of a crescent at New Orleans. Throughout the book, Jon Collins Black makes multiple references to the moon. I believe the moon could be another recurring theme for the treasure. All right, that's all I've got for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about New Orleans as a possible location for the Pokemon box. And also, I'm curious to hear if you found any other connections to Audubon or have a different interpretation to the passages in the book that I mentioned in the video. In my next video, I'll break down the first 2 pages of the Pokemon box chapter and give you my thoughts on a logical starting point.